More and more are joining them. The players are rejoicing.
Welcome to the Old Glammy podcast, a podcast dedicated to all things Glamorgan cricket. To make sure you don't miss any episodes, give us a follow on Twitter at @OGlammyGlammy or Instagram, search Glammy podcast. So sit back and enjoy with us the ups and probably downs of Glamorgan County Cricket Club. Hello, welcome to this week's episode of the Old Glammy podcast with me, Andy Ward, and alongside me, as always, Ed Lockett. We've got a few things to go on this week. Obviously, reviewing the Sussex defeat. Sounding a bit more despondent this week than I was at the end of the podcast last week. It's a little bit back down to earth and back to reality. I think we'll preview the Surrey match, which is taking place later this week on Friday the 19th, I believe. And then we just got some club news to catch up on first of all. So news from the seconds, they have been in a 50-over friendly one-day match against Cardiff University men. It's a run out for players on the fringe of the first team. Glamorgan won by 33 runs. The Glamorgan men made 391 off for their 49.5 overs. And so some of the top scorers, Eddie Byram retired 122, so decent knock for him. Henry Hill, who's made his T20 debut, and we've featured him a few times on the pod, he retired out on 102 as well. Will Smale, captain the side, got 40 off 29 balls. And Alex Horton was keeping wicket. Dan Douthwaite got 30 off 24. In the bowling department, Jamie McElroy went wicketless off his 10 overs since he had that concussion knock and has been out of the first team. He struggled to take wickets at the moment in the seconds. Southwaite 1 for 65, Ben Morris 3 for 69, so he's taking the wickets, and Roman Franco, who no doubt will play some part in the 50-over campaign this year. For the first, he took 2 for 71. So a victory for Glamorgan seconds, and friendly. Let's have a quick look at the Cardiff side. Zed Said made 138 off 130 balls. Slightly disappointing that McElroy didn't take any wickets, but yeah, it's good to see that some of the fringe players like Eddie Byram, Henry Hill get some runs. So that's the second 11 activity. Now look at the review of the Sussex. Where did it go wrong? Obviously, Glamorgan ended up losing this one. Lost by an innings and 98 runs in the end. We only got 2 points in this match, and Sussex picked up 23. And I believe we'll look at the table more closely, but I think they did go top after this, which is a little bit disappointing considering we were quite close in the table for this game. They only went 3 days, and we just about batted 151 overs basically, and Sussex batted 125 to score their 521. Yeah, it was very disappointing. The toss we lost, and it was clear that the conditions on the morning of the first day were murky. The lights were on. I'm surprised they started the game, and I may be saying that with my Glamorgan hat on. It would probably be obviously different if we had won the toss and bowled, but we didn't. Tuned in briefly to the live stream. Yeah, very murky conditions, very tricky to bat in. I was not surprised with Sussex decisions put us in. I'm not surprised when we lost Zain Hassan 5 runs for 1 wicket, and then Ace Try went 11 for 2. I was really not surprised. I was surprised they kept us on in those conditions. Disappointing that they didn't take us off, but perhaps that's a bit of sour grapes from my point of view. So yeah, Zain Hassan 5, Tribe 6. Not the best start. Beginning to think, is that partnership working again? But they were really tricky conditions, I think. Carlson 15, Kellaway 33. Actually looked at our batting averages, and Ben Kellaway's actually topping our averages He's played 6 matches, 9 innings, and he's averaging 53.75 at the moment. I was looking at Colin Ingram's average, 7 matches, 12 innings, average of 31.75 because he got a naught in this match. I know he got century knock in the last outing, but some of his scores in the first innings have been struggling to get out of single figures, which is a little bit concerning. He tends to do this when he's playing in the T20 and then comes back 4 day. It doesn't hit the ground running. But the slightly concerning thing is he's not played much in the T20 either. So that is an area of concern for me. Dixon 31, he's above Ingram in the averages. He's doing a decent job for us coming at 5. Hook 29 not out, so that lovely knock he had in C20 see us over the line. It's helped his form in the red ball, which is good to see. Crane contribute then with 17. So we struggled to get to 155 all out after 51 overs. I was hoping we were going to have an immediate impact with the ball on that first day. It didn't quite work out. They made 92 for the first wicket, then 108 for 2, 143 for 3. And I was thinking, okay, the wickets are coming. But unfortunately, then it was the next wicket fell at 200, 275. They did make partnerships, and then big one. They went from 289 for 6 to 403 for 7, and then they got up to 521 in the end. You knew then Glamorgan would have to bat for 2 full days if they were going to draw this. I didn't see them getting enough runs to win it. Then it was virtually game over. Then from the win point of view, James Cole's mentioned 224 not out, a huge knock. From the bowling point of view, yeah, Van der Gate went wicketless, which is, so 2 wickets for 74, Coleman on 3 for 119, so he broke that century runs in after 22 overs. So don't know what they're going to do from the Surrey match if they're going to play him again. Saying Hassan 1 for 48, Ryan Hanley 1 for 102. Not a great return, but he hasn't played for obviously over a month, hasn't done any T20, so it makes you think if he's a little bit out of match practice. Ben Callaway took 2 for 69. He bowled 23 overs, and then Crane bowled 16 overs, 1 for 85. Crane obviously coming back from his stint with the England Lions. It was a really ill task for Glamorgan to come out with this for the draw. Said they would have batted the full 2 days. The weather was set fair. Did a decent job, 112 for 1 off the fall of the first wicket. St. Hassan got 30. Then Ace of Try went for 64. I really felt he could have gone off, get a century, but wasn't to be. Then Carlson out for 32. Callaway 55. Decent contribution from him. Ingram naught. So 2 noughts for Colin. That is concerning. Dixon for 4. And that you knew then that was definitely game over then. 26 again, contribution. Flanagan got 17, Crane 3, and then two zeros for Norton and Hadley. So all in all, yes, disappointed. We're now 8th in the table. Sussex are second, 102 points. We're 8th on 85. It's a crazy. We were 4th, and now we're down to 8th. Hampshire below us 53, Leicestershire 49, their bottom, and our next opponent, Surrey, is 6 with 89 points. Your thoughts, Ed, and you also who can play of the match, but
You definitely highlighted it about the winning the toss was key. But to be fair, I think that the floodlights were on all day, apparently. I think even though the bowling conditions were best when Glamorgan were batting first up, there's still a bit of assistance there for the Glamorgan bowlers when they came out to bowl. But I think there was also a short boundary as well, which Coles took advantage of. I think 11 sixes in his double hundred. For whatever reason, Glammy didn't make use of that. But let's not get too down about it. You mentioned the table there. That table is very tight. We're still over 30 points clear of Hampshire, who are in ninth. Maybe it's just one of those games you just got to take that things just didn't quite go Glammy's way. Momentum was always with Sussex, and we were always chasing it. But player of the match, just a tough task. I want Tribe to do well. I want 100 from him. I want to
Yeah.
see bigger scores. Same with Kellaway. The challenge now is to ask them to start turning those 50s into big hundreds. Player of the match, I'll go for Tribe for the 64, holding it together at the start of the second innings.
We've got the Surrey game. Then we got the 50 over competition and the T20 to finish it off. And then we're back in the championship on 20th of August. And we are against Leicestershire away. And then 7 days later, on Thursday, 27th, we are Hampshire at home. So it'll be interesting to see what the table looks like after we play Surrey this week. We're going to be off the table realistically now. And then we've got Hampshire and Leicester as our next opponent after the 1 day stuff. Then we got looking slightly ahead of September, Somerset away, then Warwickshire home, they're strong. Surrey away, that's going to be a tricky one. Essex at home, 24th of September. Essex are top as of 16th of June. Looking very far ahead. Essex is our last match. So they could be going for the title, and we could be going for survival. I'll hand over to Ed now for his preview of Surrey and their key personnel. They didn't play on the weekend. They had the game before, which started on the 10th of June. It was Hampshire, and they drew. And I think that was the Oval as well. Over to you, Ed, to just give us a
So
flavour of
Surrey, I
Surrey.
mean, probably the biggest county around, and certainly the most well-resourced in terms of playing talent. Very, very tough task for Glammy ahead. The head coach is Gareth Batty, and the captain would be Rory Burns. Just going through the lineup for that last game against. So Rory Burns has been an opener in the Championship for a good few years now, since not being selected for England. Him and Dom Sibley, Dan Lawrence at 3, Ollie Pope at 4, who is likely to keep wicket, Will Jacks, Sam and Tom Curran, then bowling department of James Taylor, Reece Topley. There's Jamie Overton in the background. I'm not sure if he'll be fit. He might be more of a 1 day player. Who knows? Gus Atkinson might play. Ben Folkes, I'm not too sure what's up with him. Ollie Pope is keeping wicket. Ben Folkes must be injured. Them and Notts have been fighting for the championship. So to see them where they are right now is a bit of a surprise, mid-table and on only 4 points ahead of Glammy at the moment. That puts Glammy's position into sort of a bit of perspective. It's very tight from Glammy up to the top of the league. It's not even 20 points there. It's at Sapphire Gardens, but it's going to be tough. You're right, that game against Hampshire was a draw, so it was just quite surprising.
I think if we can channel that spirit we had Somerset obviously at home, we managed to get over the line. Somerset, well established Division 1, obviously got up for it and we stole it in the end. But that's what we need to do at home. Callaway's obviously, they're bowling him now, 20 odd overs under his belt. Obviously Crane's our frontline spinner, so Callaway's bowling that much as well, so could well be a wicket that's going to be conducive to spin. Probably get a result. I've just looked at the forecast. There is going to be rain around of maybe 2 out of the 4 days, so there's probably going to be time lost. So that could factor in terms of whether or not Glammy want a very bowler-friendly wicket. I don't think it's forecast to be high 20s. It's going to be low 20s. In terms of the starting 11, until last game, they kept the same 11. That feeling, if there's no injuries, then they probably will stay with the same 11. If baking hot sunshine is overcast, whether or not they give Gorvin a run, but who's going to drop then? I can't see them dropping Hadley. This is going to be his last game. Tom Norton, I get the feeling they're going to give him one more. And then Van der Gerten is our frontline bowler. So probably no changes. And then batting lineup at the moment picks itself with Billy Root carrying the water. He's not in the second, so he's definitely around the first team squad, but I don't see them making a change there. So I think it's going to be the same 11. I think that's brought us all up to speed. We will be back may be back next week, or we may be back before the return of the County Championship at the end of August. Me and Ed will have a chat to see our availability. I'm away for the next couple of weeks. So, yeah, we'll pick it up and we may, depending on our T20 form, if we get through to the knockouts or not, we may roll up the review of the Surrey match and the T20 campaign question mark whether or not we get through to the knockouts or not. So yeah, we'll probably pick up then, which will probably be more like July. That leads me to say thanks everyone for listening and interacting with us, downloading, following us, liking and subscribing on our channels. We will be back, and I'm just leaving to say go Glammy. Bye for now.
More and more are joining them. The players are rejoicing.